Hello. Ms. Sherman and I attended a PD on professional learning communities. We learned about 4 teacher resources that I will be going over today. So let's scroll down to slide 14. The first one was Wiki Teacher. Here, your PLC can locate the standard that your group decided needs to be addressed. Number 2 is ThemeSpark. Once your PLC has identified a standard, your group can create a rubric directly tied to that standard. Number 3 is Edulastic. Here, your PLC can create an activity or assessment based on that standard. Number 4 is Grade Transfer. Here you can link your Google Classroom grades to Infinite Campus. Back in November, Mr. Ryder had the ELA department analyze PARCC scores from last year. So the green represents the district and the orange represents our school. The way this works is questions are ordered from most difficult to least difficult. So what we did was we focused in this area, which is the mid-range. So let's take, for example, number 24, which is RI 10.1.1. If we come down here to the Common Core State Standards, number 24 is RI 9 10.1, Reading Informational Text. Okay, so now we have a standard based on data that we need to work on. So we take that information and we plug it into the first teacher resource, which is Wiki Teacher. We go over to this third tab. You could type in your grade level. Okay, so let's locate the standard that we're going to work on. Here it is, RI 9 10.1. It says, cite strong and thorough textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. Let's click on that. Okay, what your PLC can do with this information is you can copy and paste some of the words, phrases, for, let's say, your minutes, your agenda, or maybe your PLC is working on a SMART goal together. Here are some learning targets, some student-friendly learning targets. I'll read one here. I know inferences and assumptions based on textual evidence and reasoning. I'm thinking your PLC can use this information for, let's say, an activity on student self-evaluation, self-reflection, and then add that information to your data binder. Here are some vocabulary words that are attached to your standard. Okay, so now we have a standard. Let's take that and go over to the second teacher resource, which is ThemeSpark. Going to log in. Now what your PLC can do is create a rubric around that standard. So let's take a look. Let's see, language arts, grade 10, topic, okay, reading informational text. Okay, here it is, same standard. Reading information 9 10.1, so let's select that one. Sometimes an activity may have more than one standard, so you might want to select 10.2, 10.3, and 10.4. Okay, so now you can go down and continue, and here it is. Let's name this practice test number 3. You can now save this rubric. Okay, save it to your Google Drive. Just going to save it to my pps.org. Hit save. And there it is. Okay, so now we identified the standard, we created a rubric. Let's go over to the third teacher resource, which is Edulastic. I already created an account. I loaded up 2 classes. And what you can do here is go over to the question bank. I'm going to clear out this information for this demonstration. Let's see, pick grade 10. Okay, so I'm going to pick ELA. Standard is ELA Common Core. Okay, so let's take a look at the standard that our PLC identified as needing to be addressed. So just right here, reading informational text. Click on that, and we're going to focus on RI 910.1. Okay, so I'm going to hit done, and this generated 83 questions. Now sometimes when you add other standards here, you could have hundreds of questions generated. Okay, so the kind of questions that you might want to look at, you could change it around. I'm going to say passage based. Okay, now I'm down to 58 questions. So, okay, this one here has the standard I'm looking for, so I'm going to add that. Let's see here. Scroll down a little bit more. Let's see here. This one has standard 1 again. I'm going to add that. And maybe one more. Let's say this one here. This one has 4 questions. Now you can always preview the passage. Let's see. Okay, so you can take a look at that. And I'm going to add, yeah, that one there. So let's add that. Okay. So now I'm going to review that. Alright, I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to name it the same name that I named the rubric, practice test number 3. So I have 17 questions, 11 that are based on the standard that we've selected. Looks good here, looks good here, so let's publish. Okay, so here are the 2 classes that I loaded. Let's select those 2. You could assign it for later or right away, so I'm going to say publish later. We'll go back to the dashboard, and there it is on assessment. Okay, so now that we've identified the standard that our PLC needs to work on, we created a rubric and an activity. Okay, so what Ms. Sherman and I have done is created a classroom called BTMF PLC Collective. Here is where we can collaborate and share best practices that happen in our PLCs. So what we're going to load in this classroom is a template for a SMART goal. Okay, so you can add things here. Okay, so let's say for example, you could be very specific. SMART goal stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. Also, this template adds reward. So here, under specific, you could add the standard. Under measurable, how will it be accomplished? You could add some information about the rubric that your PLC created, okay, and other things that you might want to add that are relevant. Okay, so that's going to be in our BTMF PLC Collective Classroom. And what we're going to do is send you this presentation, and on slide 15 is the Google Classroom code. Okay, so I hope that this will help your PLCs. Ms. Sherman and I had a fantastic time at this PLC, at this PD rather, and we hope to work with you further. Have a nice day.